Previously on MTP, you guys talked about probability with Coach Daniel. Today, we are going to be looking at a word problem that deals with probability. Now, this word problem is very wordy, and it is a little long in what you have to figure out the process of doing. So, for me, this would definitely be a problem that I would star and come back to if I had time. It's not hard, but it does take up more time than what you should be allotting for each question on the math part. So I'm going to go ahead and read the problem. It says the most famous charm spell is Wingardium Leviosa. For first-year students, there is a 20% chance that you will be able to perform it your first time. As these students practice, their percentage for performing the spell increases by 15% each time. Answer the following. Mrs. Granger is a great first-year student. She successfully performed the spell her first time. What are the odds, based on typical first-year's data, that she will be able to successfully cast the spell the next 3 times in a row? So whenever I'm looking at this problem, the first thing that I want to do is figure out what it is asking me to do. So this last sentence says, what are the odds that she will be able to successfully cast the spell the next 3 times in a row? So we're looking for the odds that she will successfully cast the spell the next 3 times in a row. Now this word next is bolded and italicized. Anytime that you have a value in a question on the ACT that is bolded and italicized, please pay attention to it. It is a word that is going to either slightly or dramatically change what the answer should be. So let's go back up here and see what information that they give us. So we know that there is a 20% chance that you will be able to perform the spell your first time. And then we know that the chances, the percentage of performing it correctly after that increases by 15% each time. So we're going to use all of that information to answer this question. So I'm going to go ahead and put 4 blanks here for the first, second, third, and fourth time that she attempts to complete the spell. There is a 20% chance that she will complete the first time. So that is what we put in 1.20. Now notice this is in decimals and then this is in percents. So remember, you can always ask yourself, if I have a 20% chance, ask yourself how many pennies would that be? So what would that be in cents? So per cents, we write the same way as we do cents. So 20% looks like this. Then it says that each time after that, you increase by 15%. So I'm going to be using my calculator to figure that out. So I start out with 0.20, and I want to add 15%, or 0.15. So the second time that she attempts the spell, it will be a 35% chance that she will get it correct. Then I'm going to simply add 0.15 again to get 0.50. The third time, she will have a 50% chance of getting it correct. And then adding 0.5 one last time. The fourth time that she attempts to cast the spell, she will have a 65% chance of correctly casting the spell. Now let's go back to the question real quick. It says, what are the odds that she will be able to successfully cast the spell the next 3 times in a row? So we know that she did this one. Okay, so she did that one. And now we want to know, what are the odds of successfully casting these 3 spells? So because all 3 of these outcomes are independent of each other, meaning that if she casts this one correctly, it has no holding or bearing on what happens here. We can do simple probability by multiplying these 3 values together, just like you did with Coach Daniel yesterday or on Wednesday. So we have 0.35 times 0.50 times 11.65. And again, I'm going to use my calculator to do this. There's no point in making this harder than what it has to be by not utilizing your calculator. So our answer here, we get 0.11375. Now, chances are on your ACT, the multiple choice options that you will have will be in percents because the question is given to you in percents. So I want to just go ahead and move this decimal back over 2 places, and that is how I'm going to phrase my solution here. So I'm going to say that there is an 11.375% chance. So I can say that there is an 11.375% chance of Mrs. Granger successfully performing the spell the next 3 times. Now again, this is a problem that takes a minute to figure out what it's asking and how you need to gather that information to be able to get your final answer. So I would definitely star this question and come back to it if and when I had time at the end of my test. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mrs. Spicer, and she is going to talk with you guys about the midpoint formula.
Today we're going to learn about the midpoint of a line segment. So here you're given the coordinates of both endpoints, which are here and here. But first we need to talk about the formula. So we have the formula x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and we have y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Now the 1s and the 2s, that is not an exponent. So when we come up here and we talk about endpoints, I'm going to label them. This is your x and y. This is your first set of coordinates. That's where the sub 1 comes from. Your next one is x2, y2. That is where the 2 comes from because this is your second coordinate. So now we're going to take those and we're going to plug them in to this formula. So where there's x1, we're going to put a 3. Where there is a 1, we're going to put it here, where x2 goes, divided by 2. This you treat as a separate problem. Do not mix these two together. So we have 4 divided by 2, which equals 2. So your x coordinate will be 2. Now when we talk about y1, it's here. y2 is negative 4 divided by 2. So 8 plus negative 4 is 4 divided by 2, and your answer is 2. So that is your y coordinate. And your correct answer would be D.
All right, what we got to do here is we got to find the distance between 2 points. 1, 0, and 5, negative 3. We got this nice distance formula that I'm sure most of you have seen. Distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. If you need to pause the video right now to write that down, you can. So basically the first thing you need to do is choose 2 points. I can make this x1, y1, and this point x2, y2. All right, make sure that you label the x1 and y1 together and the x2 and the y2 together. That way when you start substituting things in, everything goes in nicely. All right, so I'm just going to plug things in. Distance is equal to, my x2 value is 5 minus x1 is 1. That's all squared, plus y2, which is negative 3, minus 0, which is y1. Make sure your square root, it takes up all of that. All that's inside the square root. Now we're just going to simplify. 5 minus 1 is 4. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. Now we need to square those. We'll continue to bring our distance down there. So distance is equal to the square root of 4 squared is 16 plus negative 3 squared, that's negative 3 times negative 3. A negative times a negative is a positive. So that's going to be positive 9. 16 and 9 is 25. Distance is equal to the square root of 25, which is 5, and is answer choice D. Thank you.
Everywhere you look, There's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, everywhere's a face of somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there.